timeline this all for me. From when you exited Richmond Bone and Joint, how long was it until you decided to actually put pen to paper on a business plan for a next level idea?
Well, so once I started realizing that, there was this cost issue going on in healthcare, I immediately started thinking about, so how is this happening? Who's paying for all of this additional cost? And I started realizing that it was mostly employers. Because what happens to employers, I've only owned small businesses for my whole life, and healthcare is a huge expense in a small business. And so every year my premium went up. I never really understood that. Why is it going up? My employees aren't really sicker, but yet keep paying more and more. And then I started thinking, well, gosh, a lot of practices are getting sold to these bigger entities, and so a lot of the lower cost healthcare is now moving into higher cost healthcare. We haven't gotten a different product. It's not better. It's just more expensive. So I'm thinking these thoughts, and then some crazy thing happened, which is always the case. I'm out by my pool on a Saturday with my kids, and my son dives into the pool, and he comes up and he's screaming because his ear really hurts. Now, I have this rule in my house. I don't give pain medicines to my own kids. I take them to the doctor so they learn how to go to the doctor and not be like, Dr. Mom, except I broke that rule last night, but anyway. So I told my son, I figured that he had burst an eardrum because he dove too deep. But he was really in a lot of pain, and I said, gosh, it's Saturday afternoon, pediatrician's not open, wonder where we can go. So I had remembered seeing this place that was in a strip center, and it said emergency room, but it wasn't a strip center, so it was probably just a good clinic for that kind of thing. So we drove over there, and it was really awesome. We got right in, 5 minutes. We're seeing a doctor. It was clean. It was beautiful, and the doctor said, "Yep, ruptured eardrum, and here's your pain script," and we're out the door. And I'm thinking, this was great. This is how healthcare should be. I would have been in the ER for like 3 hours, but this place was great. 2 weeks later,
the bill comes.
Yes, that's right. I got the bill, and the bill was almost $1,000. I was like, I was there for 5 minutes. I should have done it, right? I should have, looked at my own kids here. But anyway, I started asking everybody that I knew, where do you guys go? What do you do when it's after 5 or it's on the weekend and you need a doctor or your kid needs a doctor? I messed up. Where do you go? Well, no one had a better idea. Everyone was telling me, well, actually I go there too. And I asked them about the bill, and they said, yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? Thank God I have insurance. Well, again, what I knew was that, thank God I have insurance, but as an employer, you're getting hit with that couple $1,000 bill for something silly. So that's when I knew that I needed to go and I wanted to open clinics that were cost effective, that could provide that same care where you could walk in on a Sunday or Saturday or after hours, get to see a doctor, but not have to pay thousands of dollars. And I figured that the way to do that was to build a business plan that cut costs, to the point where not quality, and that was the challenge. So for me, this new business has been more of a mission, like, hey, okay, you think you're good because you've gotten a few lucky breaks, but can you really create a value in healthcare?
Give the audience here a quick synopsis of the difference between, say, an emergency room, freestanding or hospital associated, and an urgent care, because there's big differences, although they don't necessarily market themselves as such all the time.
100%. So, the first difference, honestly, is that ERs are 24 hours. They're open the whole 24 hours. They are also supposed to be here. The idea of emergency rooms is that they can take care of life-threatening injuries or illnesses. So if you have a heart attack or you have a stroke or you are bleeding from an artery, you should be in an ER. That is a great use of an ER, and that's why they're expensive. They have expensive equipment that can take care of those things. They have ER boarded doctors and they have, the facilities are certified by the state so that they can take care of those things. So when you sprain your ankle, it's really overkill. It's like, hitting I mean, like an ant with an anvil. You just don't need that much. So that's what I was trying to do, was basically bring urgent care, which is, we're open 9 to 9. We're open 7 days a week. We decided to cut it off at 9 because basically more emergencies happen after 9. Most people have called it a day. They're going to bed. We're looking for people who, they were out messing around with their kids and they tripped on the curb. Maybe they, cut themselves, or maybe they broke a bone. I wanted to bring my orthopedic background and put in clinics that can take care of those easy stuff, the easy fractures and things like that. And save the people the big money, because you go to an emergency room for a broken arm, and all they're going to do is they're going to X-ray it. They're going to tell you it's broken. They're going to put you in a splint. They're going to give you some pain medicine. Guess what? That shouldn't have to cost $2,000, but it does in an emergency room. In our place, it'll cost under $200. Mm-hmm.
So when you started Next Level, there was some interesting interactions with one of the partners getting started. How did this take place? And walk us through this story a little bit.
So this is just a straight up business story. I think everybody in the room who has started a business knows that it's a marriage. And I have had some wonderful luck with some fabulous business partners. And I had some not fabulous luck with some business partners. And Next Level was one of those where I started out with a person who, and he and I are still cordial, and we still trade actually business advice. But what happened was that when I wanted to go, I knew I wanted to do urgent care. I really liked the idea of it. I thought, this is something I can bring to the table. I can do this for the community and give them another choice. But I didn't know what I was doing, and true to my past, I sought out people who knew the business of urgent care. So I started talking to this guy who I had actually done business with before and had a really good experience with him, and he ran an urgent care. So I thought, perfect, I'll bring my optimism and my go-get-itness, and he'll bring his urgent care knowledge, and we'll make this work. But in fact, after we closed on an offering. Because I had been successful in the other businesses that we had created, we had an immediate outpouring of support for our new business. And in 48 hours, I closed the offering. We had all the cash that we thought we needed. Mm-hmm. Wish I would have gone back and done that differently. But anyway, it's always nice to have more. I should have held it open for longer. But anyway, we really had a great start to the business. But very shortly into, really starting to get into the nuts and bolts, I realized that he didn't really know anything about urgent care, actually, and he had bought his policies and procedures from somebody else. Mm-hmm. He didn't really understand the billing, and in fact, I kind of realized that we actually discovered that he was doing some things incorrectly that he had to go back and change in his own business. When I started bringing my legal team and my accountants and the people that I had been used to using, and they started looking at what he was recommending for us to do, they said, Juliet, don't do that. We need to change this up. So here I am in a situation where I've got this new business partner, we've got this brand new business, and I'm every day realizing more and more that I have a partner who's certainly not going to be 50-50, because he just actually doesn't really know the business. So, I ended up, one of the things that I'm sure all of you maybe know better than I do is everything matters. When you set up a business, how you set up the exit is everything. And if you have partners and you're not, consulting an attorney to get excellent language in about what happens when you aren't working out, then, thankfully, my attorneys were, on the ball, and we had a really great agreement. So we were able to work out an amicable split. And he walked away. I think he was disappointed, but I think we were able to be reasonable with each other. And I just said, I think this is it's bad and it's gonna get worse. Let's make a good deal now for you.
So, in a short period of time, you went from someone who was starting their first business, holding it together just for a 2-month period, so to speak.
Yeah.
To then being the experienced business partner in the deal,
Right.
and negotiating an exit for a not so experienced partner. What was that all like to make the realization that, hey, I know what I'm doing here?
Yeah, I mean, I still don't know what I'm doing. So, but you know what? It really is actually, it's thrilling.
Yeah.
There's no better feeling than actually figuring out that you finally understand something that you didn't used to understand. So I really enjoyed my journey, and I think that's why I didn't want to give it up. When I sold Richmond Bona Joint, I was ready to jump back in and do the next thing, because for me, it's like when I was a kid, I loved to play Monopoly. This is like, I get up every morning and I run into the office because I can't wait to see what we're gonna do and how we're gonna change the world, and I know it's just a little piece of the world, and it's a little, it's not that important to a lot of people, but for me, I really am, I'm interested in it.
And if we were to categorize your Monopoly playing,
Yeah.
I think we'd call it pretty successful. For those who don't know, in 2013, Next Level launched 9 centers in 10 months. So a pretty rapid growth from start in a short period of time. What was that scale like to go to hire, to find real estate, to find office admins, to get the software? How did you do that?
You know what? I had an amazing team, and so everybody had a job. And my real estate person found the real estate, and my clinical people were out there pounding the street trying to get the best clinical people we could. My IT person is a genius, and so gathering people who can really just take the ball and run with it, that's fun. For me, one of the things that I think, most of the most successful CEOs I know are truly, what they're really good at is identifying talent in other people. And so I built this amazing team. I set them to it. I said, hey, I want to build 9 clinics in 10 months. Let's do it. And we just never looked back. It was a crazy 10 months, and most people thought it was insane, and actually it probably was insane looking back on it, because I was so optimistic about people's ability to understand what we were doing. I really thought that everyone was going to go, well, surely, I mean, that there's no contest. I could go here, it's the same experience, and I could pay 10 times less, and why wouldn't I do that? But actually, that's not really what happened. People still don't understand the difference between emergency rooms and in urgent cares, and it has been an uphill battle for us to get out there and convince employers and people in the community that we are a really good choice. So, although I'm proud of the fact that we were able to put up all those centers really quickly, and by the way, there was a method to that madness. I wanted to have that dream team, and you can't have a dream team with one clinic because you can't afford it. So I put the dream team together, and then it was a ninth of the dream team expense to every clinic, which was completely affordable. And so what we've been doing for the last 3 years is year over year, building our business, getting out there, impressing people, and having people return. So we have about a 30% year over year growth, and we've had that 30% for the last 3 years. So we're getting there. I'm really pleased with how things are going, but it has been slow, and I really was overly optimistic about our ability to just get in there and to make immediate profit. That just didn't happen at all.
So you look at some of the newest companies in today. I mean, nationwide. I mean, Uber had to define the world of ride sharing. Airbnb, same thing.
That's right.
So what challenges did you have in educating your revenue stream, your consumer? How were you able to do that, and what was your strategy there? Actually,
I mean, I'm still in the midst of that challenge. We do a lot of different things. One of the things that we do is we go out, and this is, Cheryl actually is here. She is our Director of Business Development. We have a bunch of different, categories of people that might be interested in what we do. We have employers for work injuries, and for those that is a very complicated customer base because they each have their own carrier of insurance for those kind of things. So we can't just go to an employer and say, hi, we're here and we do healthcare cheaper, because they'll say, well, I mean, that's great, but we have XYZ network. So it's been a very long, arduous path to get on all of the different networks so that we can provide the care to the people who want it. We also have our most amazing base of patients and a kind of streamline is our school districts and our municipalities. School districts have not only tons of teacher injuries, and we have really had a great run of success of getting a lot of business from that side of the world, but the school nurses see all of these children, and many of them have fixed incomes or low incomes, and they need a place that they can go to or they can recommend us to their parents that is not going to be, bank busting, and so we really have gotten an amazing boost from our school nurses. And then we've done a lot of boots on the ground. We've done a lot of grassroots efforts. We've been out at community events, letting people know, educating them. It's a small business. That's what we have to do.